Shalom, and welcome to another show of GMS Levy Packers, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, as always. You brothers know who I am. I don't have to say my name. Today's show is going to be based on Ephesians, the second chapter, as you can see up here on the screen. From the 11th verse to the end of the chapter, this is one of my favorite chapters that I like to go to show that the Gentiles, when you hear about that word in the scriptures, it's not always talking about the actual Gentiles who were the people from the other nations, but the Gentiles, when you hear that word, most of the time it's talking about Israelite foreigners, the people that we speak to out there at camp and just in your everyday life that you're arguing with about scriptures. They think that Gentiles always means the other nations or not being a Jew. But that word Gentile is talking about the Israelite foreigners very, very often, quite often, most of the time. It's talking about the Israelite foreigners. And this is one of my favorite go-to chapters to read, Ephesians 2 and 11 to the end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the key words from each verse that sew those truths together, that will show you that those Gentiles are talking about Israelite foreigners. So I'm gonna read each verse, and when I have the keywords written down. So once I get to one of those keywords, I'll go to tools and look up the definition of the word and get some deeper understanding of it. So without further ado, how do I want to start this? All right, we'll just do it like this. And bear with me, brothers. This is just on the fly, something I wanted to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. So it says here, Ephesians 2 and 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. All right. So I have here written down on the flashcard here. It says time past. All right. So it's saying wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, then that implies that they were Gentiles at one time, and then they changed to being something else. Right. Now, if you are an actual Gentile, if you are an actual person that comes from another nation, you can't start being that nation and then stop being that nation to become something else. That's just what you are. Because according to what the scriptures say, a man is what his seed is. A man is what seed he came from. So if your father is of a nation, then you are from that nation. All right? So with that being said, let's go and look up this word time past to see what that means, or that phrase, that term. Go here. It says here, being in times past. They have it written as a phrase. All right. So let's click here, and I'll allow the site itself to say the word.
Strong's G 4218. Pate. Pate.
Okay, the word is pate, and it says once, i.e., which means example given, formerly, aforetime, at some time. So it means, in other words, formerly. Matter of fact, I got this dictionary thing opened up here. So let's look up some of these words here too. Let's look up formerly. How do you spell that shit? I forgot how to spell the goddamn thing. Bear with me, brothers. With an E. Okay, formerly. Let's look that word up. All right, this is the Merriam-Webster dictionary. This is the one that comes up most often when you Google a word and you're looking for the definition. This is the word that normally comes up. The site that normally comes up. All right, so it says formerly, at an earlier time, previously, obsolete, just before. So if you're a person who's coming from another nation, you was born of another seed, then you can't be that seed at an earlier time and then change to another nationality. Your nationality stays the same all the way through your line. When you have children, your children are going to be that nationality. When they have children, their children will be that nationality. So your nationality can't change. So that times past, once we go back here, implies that it's talking about someone who was being a Gentile and changed. So let's get some more understanding about why in times past they were Gentiles and now they no longer are. Okay, it says here that at that time you were without the anointed, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, without the Most High in the world. All right. So I got two words written down in this scripture. The first is alien. So let's see what that word means. Okay. They have it written down as a phrase, being aliens. So let's click here. Let the screen play it.
Strong's G 526. Apalatriao. Apalatriao.
Apalatriao, which means to alienate, estrange, to be shut out from one's fellowship and intimacy. All right. The word estrange was the word that stuck out most to me in this definition. It's just like when you're estranged from your wife. When you're estranged from your wife, or vice versa, rather, it was a better way to say it. When your wife is estranged from you, that means you put her away. You've written her a bill of divorcement, and now she's estranged. She's out there in the world because she, again, is shut out from one's fellowship and intimacy. So now she's no longer with you. She's estranged. So let's go look up that word estranged in Merriam Dictionary. It says here, estranged. Let's see what that word means. What's going on here? Okay, here it is at the top. Estranged. It says to cause someone to be no longer friendly or close to another person or group. Okay, so if you're estranged, that means you were put away. It doesn't mean you weren't necessarily from there. It just means you were put away from where you were from. All right. There's another definition here. It says to cause someone to be no longer involved or connected with something. So if you're causing someone to no longer be involved, that means they were at a time. They were involved. They were a part of something at a time. So when they're estranged, that means they were taken from being a part of something and they were moved to being to something else. So now we're starting to get a better understanding of who this is talking about. All right. So let's go back here to Ephesians. All right. It's now my next word. So we got here alien, right? We know that alien means to be estranged, right? So it's saying that you're estranged from something that you belong to. So let's see what it is that these Gentiles belong to, all right? And the next word that will indicate it is commonwealth. All right, so let's go here to tools again and click on this word commonwealth, all right?
Strong's G 4174. Politeia. Politeia.
Politeia, which means the administration of civil affairs, a state or commonwealth, citizenship, the rights of a citizen. So let's see what a citizen is. Let's see what that word is. Okay. Like Elder Gabar always says, words are stock and trade, man. You gotta look up these words. These words give you a better understanding of what the scriptures are saying. And with that being said, I also want to add that sometimes you got to read these scriptures over and over. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm reading and I have no clue of what something is saying, especially when you read the epistles of Paul. There's a lot of things in there and he words it in a certain way that it's hard to be understood. So sometimes I can be sitting there and be stuck just on 3 verses. and I'll read them 3 verses over and over and over, and then over again, and then I'll start looking up those words, and then I'm like, oh, that's what he's saying. Because a lot of those things are foggy, man. So you got to look up these words so you can get a clearer understanding of what's being said. You know, this is why we have so much confusion. This is why it's such a mystery about the Israelite foreigners, because people don't look up those words to see what was actually being said. They take the word Gentile and they say, oh, Gentile, it's automatically someone from another nation. Oh, alien, it's automatically somebody from another nation. You know, but they don't look up those key words, those points, or they don't extrapolate the information out of there by looking up these words. So Elder Gabar has a great point in saying that words are our stock and trade, because without these words, without looking them up and defining them, we won't know what we're talking about. You know, and you're kind of, when you go out there and you teaching at camp, you're going out there just repeating something that you heard if you don't look up these words. You're just repeating things that you've heard from the elders or from another brother that you may have seen that you've taken a liking to. Those things that you're saying, you're just repeating it without looking up these words and getting a better understanding of what was being said. So we're going to go here and look up this word citizen. It says, a person who legally belongs to a country and has the rights and protection of that country. A person who lives in a particular place. So if you're an alien, which that word meant estranged, and if you're being alienated from a commonwealth, which they gave the word citizen, that means you're being estranged from the place that you're from. You are being estranged from the place that you're from. So that's why the scripture said, in times past ye were Gentiles. You were taken from a place where you belonged. You were underneath the law. You were underneath the protection of the law. And then you were estranged from that commonwealth. You were estranged from that city, because what you have to understand, there was a diaspora, and a lot of times the diaspora either happened through slavery, where another nation came in and conquered Israel and took them out of the land, or when the Greeks came in, and they started setting up their own strongholds in the land. It got so bad that Israel packed up and left on their own accord. When you read that in the Maccabees, the first Maccabees 1 through 3, the first chapter to the third chapter, it talks about how Israel was so bad in the land that we were just packing up and leaving and going to other lands, because the Greeks were destroying the land. They were sacrificing pig on the altar, which is the abomination of desolation, and all sorts of lascivious things in the land. And you had even our own people that were in accord with those wicked and vile things. So we started leaving the land. So that's why we were estranged. That's why we were aliens from the Commonwealth, because we were leaving. Either we were leaving or we were being taken out of the land from slavery. All right. So going back on the wrong one. So it says a state or commonwealth. So when you're estranged from a commonwealth, that means you're estranged from your land, where you live. A state is a land, right? A commonwealth is a city, right? So when you're estranged from that city, that's what makes you a Gentile, all right? That's what made the Israelites Gentiles, because they were taken out of their land, and they were being called Gentiles, all right? So let's go back here. One more. Go back one more. All right. Now moving on to the next verse. It says here, but now in the anointed, ye who sometimes were far off, made nigh by the blood of the Lord, or by the blood of the anointed. Now I didn't have this word sometimes written down, but in reading it, it was pointed out to me, so I'm gonna look it up now. Sometimes we're afar off. We're far off, rather. I'm going to look up this word sometimes. Oh, it's that word pote again. Oh, see that? So it says once, formerly, aforetime, at some time. So you were formerly afar off, and now you're not. All right? So what made them nigh? It says here in the scripture, verse 13, what made them